The grass bent softly under the cold wind of dawn. The planet Talren had been quiet for centuries, a green world untouched by war. But that peace ended the moment the alien predators arrived. They were tall, metal-skinned creatures with blades for arms and glowing eyes that could slice through darkness. Their purpose was simple: hunt, destroy, and dominate. When the first human colony signal reached them, they laughed in their strange, echoing voices. To them, humans were fragile animals, good for experiments, maybe food. They did not expect resistance. They did not expect a child. The human base lay in a meadow ringed with mountains. Among the small buildings and shining drones, a young boy named Eli wandered with his pet, a honey badger named Blitz. Eli was only 8, with blue eyes that held too much curiosity for his own safety. Blitz followed him everywhere, small but fearless, always ready to attack anything that moved too fast. The soldiers joked that Blitz had more courage than their entire squad. They didn't know how true that was. That morning, the alarms blared. Red lights flashed. A shadow crossed the sky. The predators had arrived. Ships tore through the clouds and landed like thunder. The soldiers shouted, scrambling into position. Eli stood frozen, clutching Blitz. The boy had seen pictures of aliens in training vids, but none looked this terrifying. The ground shook. A predator stepped out from the ship, armor gleaming. It moved like a nightmare come to life, tall and sharp, scanning for life forms. Its voice cracked through the air, cold and deep. Human signatures detected. Eliminate all. Eli's father, a defense officer, yelled for the evacuation team. Get the civilians to the shelter! But the predators moved faster. Blades flashed, gunfire echoed, and chaos swallowed the meadow. Eli ran, Blitz at his heels. The smoke thickened, and the sound of soldiers dying echoed behind him. He tripped near a broken drone, landing hard. The honey badger turned, growling low at the metallic creature stalking closer. The predator tilted its head, confused. A child? It hissed, lowering its weapon. It had never seen such a small, fragile creature face it without fear. Blitz stood in front of Eli, fur bristling, teeth bared. The predator took one step closer. Blitz didn't move back. Then came a sound no one expected, a laugh. Eli started giggling, not out of courage, not out of madness, but because the alien looked ridiculous to him. Its giant armor, glowing eyes, and confused expression reminded him of his favorite robot toy. The sound of that innocent laughter echoed across the battlefield, cutting through the smoke and terror. The predator froze. It didn't understand the noise. Humans should scream, not laugh. Its hesitation cost it dearly. Blitz lunged, claws flashing. Metal clanged, sparks burst, and the alien howled in pain. The honey badger tore through its armor, pure rage and instinct in motion. Eli watched in shock as Blitz, small and furious, fought the monster twice its size. Soldiers nearby turned, seeing it happen, disbelief written on their faces. The predator stumbled back, leaking black smoke from its wounds. Blitz dropped to the ground, growling, eyes glowing with reflected firelight. The human soldiers rallied behind the moment. "If that thing can fight," one shouted, "so can we!" Blitz stood beside the laughing child, teeth bared, fur stained with sparks and ash. The alien tried to rise, but the honey badger slammed into its throat again, ripping cables free. The monster fell, silent. The boy's laughter spread across comms. Soldiers laughed too, half crazed with relief. The predators, confused and furious, turned their scanners toward the small creature that had killed one of their own. Their war had just changed. In orbit, the predator commander leaned forward. "What is that thing?" No one had an answer. But one thing was certain. The war for Talren had begun, and humanity's smallest defender had just made the galaxy tremble. The smoke over Talren refused to clear. Burned metal, melted soil, and the bitter scent of alien fuel clung to the air. The predators had retreated for now, dragging their wounded and hissing about Earth's cursed animals. The humans, half dead and half disbelieving, regrouped behind the barricades, whispering the same name, the Badger. Eli sat inside a half-destroyed bunker. His small boots were covered in dust, his face streaked with ash. Blitz slept beside him, chest rising and falling fast, fur scorched but eyes still sharp. Around them, hardened soldiers repaired weapons and patched armor. None dared to approach too close. They had seen what the little creature could do. Captain Mira knelt in front of Eli. Her voice softened in a way no one had heard all day. "Kid, you understand what happened out there?" Eli blinked, still smiling faintly. Blitz was angry. "The robot tried to touch me," one of the soldiers laughed quietly, shaking his head. "That wasn't a robot, kid. That was a predator, the kind that took down 3 colonies last month." Eli didn't answer. He just looked at Blitz and whispered, "He's not scared of anyone." Outside the bunker, the alien predators gathered around their commander. Their language was harsh, full of grinding clicks and metallic tones. The commander's armor was larger than the rest, its eyes glowing red instead of blue. "You lost to a child's pet," it hissed. "Explain." The injured warrior trembled. "It was fast." "It did not fear death." The commander tilted its head, curious. "A genetic weapon?" "No," the warrior said, voice breaking. "A creature from Earth?" Silence fell. Even among monsters, that name carried weight. The predators had read the ancient galactic reports. Earth, the Chaos World, the Death Planet. A place where life refused to die, no matter how brutal the environment. If the humans had brought one of those animals to war, then this was no ordinary campaign. Back in the human base, Captain Mira stared at the sky. "They'll be back," she said. "They don't leave a battle unfinished." Sergeant Lowe leaned against a broken wall, reloading his rifle. "Then we give them something to remember." Eli looked up at her, curious. "Can Blitz help again?" She almost laughed, but caught herself. "Kid, Blitz already helped more than any of us." But Blitz, now awake, growled softly, eyes fixed on the horizon. The animal could sense something coming. Eli followed his gaze. Far away, 3 glowing dots streaked down through the clouds. Enemy reinforcements. Mira cursed under her breath. "Positions!" The base came alive. Soldiers scrambled, drones activated, and the heavy turrets turned toward the landing sites. The ground shook again as the predator ships touched down. This time they didn't send scouts. They sent warlords. From the smoke stepped towering figures, 3 alien predators, each twice the size of the last one. Their armor shimmered with blue lightning. One of them carried a plasma spear that hummed like thunder. Eli hid behind a wall, clutching Blitz. "They look angry," he whispered. Blitz didn't blink. He just growled, that low, dangerous rumble that even the soldiers had learned to fear. The predators advanced, scanning for movement. One of them stopped, pointing its blade toward the bunker. "The creature!" it snarled. "The child!" Before Mira could move, Blitz darted out, a blur of fur and fury. The predators laughed at first, until the first one's leg hit the ground with a metallic crack. The honey badger tore through their armor like it was cloth, sparks flying, metal screeching. Blitz leapt, bit, and clawed, moving faster than their sensors could track. The soldiers opened fire, shouting, following the chaos. Eli peeked from behind the barrier and couldn't help it. He laughed again. The sound was bright and echoing, cutting through the storm of plasma fire. That laugh carried across the battlefield. It reached human soldiers and alien ears alike. To the predators, it sounded like defiance. To the humans, it felt like courage. The alien commander heard it through his comms. "The human child," he hissed. "He mocks us." "No, Commander," the wounded predator replied, trembling. "He laughs because he knows something we do not." As the second predator fell, Blitz stood among the smoke, chest rising, eyes glowing with reflected flame. Eli's laughter rolled on, wild and unbroken, a sound that refused to die. And somewhere deep inside the alien ranks, fear began to grow, a strange, unfamiliar feeling that no predator had ever known before. The humans would later call that battle the Laughing Stand. But for now, it was just the sound of one small child and his impossible friend changing the rhythm of war. Night fell heavy over Talren. The stars looked sharp against the dark sky, glittering above the burnt fields. Smoke still curled from shattered metal and broken trees. The silence was strange. No insects, no wind, just the soft hum of cooling wrecks. Humans were alive, but barely. The predators had pulled back again, retreating into the high ridges beyond the valley. Everyone knew that kind of silence meant trouble. Eli sat near a flickering camplight beside Captain Mira. Blitz was stretched out beside him, fur still blackened from battle but breathing steady. The soldiers around the fire whispered about the day's fight, voices low, like the aliens could hear through the mountains. "They won't stop," Mira said, sharpening her combat knife on a rock. "They're not retreating. They're planning something." Eli looked up. "They looked scared." "Scared things are the most dangerous," she replied. "They do stupid things before they die." Somewhere out in the hills, the predators were indeed planning. Inside their command ship, the alien commander slammed a clawed hand against a hollow table. The map of the valley shimmered, showing red human heat signatures. The humans rally behind that small creature. They treat it as a symbol. Kill it and their courage dies. A scout predator stepped forward. "Commander, the creature cannot be tracked by sensors. Its biological readings are chaotic." "Then we use bait," the commander growled. "The human child. Bring him to me alive." Back at the human camp, sensors picked up faint energy spikes. Drones buzzed through the darkness, lights sweeping across broken meadows. Sergeant Lowe watched the readings flicker. "Something's moving out there." "Too organized for wildlife," Mira stood, hand on her rifle. "Positions. No mistakes." Eli, half asleep, woke when Blitz lifted his head. The badger's nose twitched. He growled low, fur bristling. Eli whispered, "Blitz? What's wrong?" Before anyone could answer, plasma beams tore through the night. Explosions ripped open the hillsides. The sky turned white. The predators struck fast, silent shapes leaping through firelight, blades flashing. Mira shouted orders, soldiers firing back, their rounds lighting the dark. Eli ducked under a table, heart pounding. Blitz stood in front of him, growling, eyes like burning coals. A massive shadow appeared. An alien predator, twice as tall as the others, stepped from the fire. Its armor glowed red. Its voice was deep and calm. "Human child." Eli froze. "Come quietly," the predator said. "You will not be harmed." Blitz bared his teeth. The alien tilted its head, amused. "This is the creature they fear." "It bleeds like any other," Eli whispered. "Blitz, no." But the badger moved like lightning. The alien swung its blade fast, but Blitz was faster. He bit deep into its leg joint, ripping through armor. The predator howled, crashing to its knees. Soldiers cheered, but the celebration ended fast. From the shadows came more predators. Too many. Lowe yelled, "We're surrounded!" Mira fired a grenade launcher into the ridge, dust exploding everywhere. "Fall back! Protect the kid!" But Eli didn't move. He couldn't. A flash grenade went off beside him, blinding light filling his eyes. He felt cold hands grab him, lifting him off the ground. He screamed. Blitz lunged but was slammed by another predator's gauntlet, thrown hard into the dirt. "Eli!" Mira shouted, running toward him, but the enemy vanished into the smoke, taking the boy with them. Blitz staggered up, bleeding from a deep gash. His body shook, but he didn't stop. He sniffed the air, growled, and began to run. No human could have seen where the child had gone. But the honey badger didn't need eyes. He followed the scent of fear and steel. Far above the battlefield, the alien ship's engines roared. The commander watched through the glass as the boy was dragged inside. Eli struggled weakly, his voice echoing. "You'll regret this," he said, trembling but defiant. The commander chuckled. Bold words from prey. Down below, Captain Mira stared up at the sky as the ship disappeared into the clouds. Blitz had already vanished into the darkness, a streak of rage and instinct chasing after the impossible. The humans stood silent, knowing what it meant when a predator took something alive. But somewhere, deep inside every soldier, a new thought grew. A quiet, vengeful hope, because they had seen the look in that badger's eyes before it ran. And everyone who had ever fought beside Blitz knew one truth. Whatever ship took that boy wasn't coming back. The alien ship tore through the upper atmosphere like a black spear. Its engines glowed cold blue, cutting across the stars. Inside, the corridors were silent, except for the steady hum of machines and the faint echo of alien footsteps. Eli sat in a containment cell made of shimmering energy. His wrists were bound and strange lights scanned his body. Across from him, the Predator commander observed with calm amusement. Such a small creature. Your kind claims dominion over war, yet you hide behind animals. Eli's voice trembled but didn't break. Blitz isn't an animal. He's my friend, the commander's lip curled. That thing tore through soldiers worth 10 of your worlds. Tell me, child, what is he? Eli stared back, silent. He didn't know the right words, but he knew the truth. He's angry when someone hurts me. The commander leaned closer. Good. Then we will make him angrier. He turned to his soldiers. Signal the ground. Show the beast what happens when we take its master. But down below, something had already gone wrong. The forest near the crash site trembled. Leaves rustled, dirt shifted, and in the distance, metallic screams echoed across the valley. One by one, the outer scout patrols stopped transmitting. Commanders barked orders. Drones searched the dark. They found nothing. No bodies, just torn armor, claw marks, and silence. Blitz was no longer running. He was hunting. The honey badger moved through the night like a shadow with teeth. His fur was streaked with blood, his eyes glowing faintly. Every predator he found met the same end, swift, brutal, and unseen. By the time he reached the base of the ship, the valley had gone quiet. Inside, alarms began to blare. Intruder detected, a synthetic voice hissed in the alien tongue. Life form unidentified. Energy readings unstable. The commander turned from Eli's cell. Impossible. No human can breach this vessel. A door exploded inward. Sparks showered the corridor. 2 soldiers were thrown against the walls, armor crushed. From the smoke stepped a small, blood-streaked creature, breathing hard. Blitz's claws dripped molten metal. His gaze fixed on Eli's cell, and for the first time Eli smiled. The commander snarled. Contain it! Predators filled the corridor, plasma rifles aimed. They fired. The hallway turned white with energy blasts. When the light faded, Blitz was gone. A second later, one of the shooters screamed as something landed on his back, ripping out his power core. Another fell, throat torn open by claws. The badger was everywhere, under their feet, on their backs, in their blind spots. Each kill was quick, deliberate, and full of fury. The commander raised his blade, scanning the shadows. Come out, Earth Beast. Blitz did. He lunged from the ceiling, slamming into the commander's chest. Metal shrieked. Sparks flew. The two crashed into the energy barrier, and the cell shattered. Eli tumbled out, gasping. Blitz! He shouted. The badger growled in response, claws digging into the alien's armor. The commander swung hard, tossing Blitz across the floor. You think this creature can kill me? He roared. Blitz hit the wall, dazed, but then slowly he got up. Every muscle in his small body trembled. His fur smoked. His teeth were bared. The commander stepped forward to finish it. But Blitz moved first, faster than the alien's sensors could react. He slammed into the commander's neck joint, tearing through layers of armor, biting into the exposed core. Sparks burst, light flared, and the alien screamed. Blitz didn't stop. He ripped until the light in the commander's eyes went out. The ship's alarms turned into distorted wails. Systems failed, lights flickered, and the gravity field fluctuated. The massive vessel began to tilt. Eli stumbled toward Blitz, throwing his arms around the exhausted animal. You found me, he whispered. Blitz licked his hand once, panting. The boy looked around. We have to go home. He saw a flashing escape pod sign. He grabbed Blitz and ran through the smoke-filled corridor as the ship began to tear apart in orbit. Flames burst from the walls. The badger growled low, turning to face a corridor of falling debris. Eli reached the pod just in time, slamming the door shut. Through the small window, he saw the ship breaking apart, chunks of burning metal falling like stars. Somewhere inside that chaos, hundreds of predators screamed in confusion and fear. The pod ejected, spinning through space, and the boy clutched his badger tight as the stars blurred around them. We did it, he whispered. Blitz closed his eyes, resting his head against the boy's chest. Far below, on Tal Ren, Captain Mira and her soldiers looked up as the sky burned with falling debris. They saw the pod streaking down like a comet. Mira smiled faintly. "He's coming back," she said. "And he's bringing hell with him." The escape pod streaked through the atmosphere like a burning star. It slammed into the muddy field outside the ruined colony base, metal shrieking and dirt exploding into the air. The hatch burst open and smoke poured out. For a moment there was silence. Then a small voice coughed. Eli crawled out, soot on his face, clutching Blitz in his arms. The honey badger was breathing hard, fur matted and scorched, but alive. Soldiers rushed toward them, disbelief written all over their faces. Captain Mira pushed through the crowd, helmet off, eyes wide. "You've got to be kidding me," she whispered. "You actually came back." Eli gave a tired smile. "Told you he'd find me." The badger stirred, lifted his head, and gave a low growl toward the sky. Mira followed his gaze and felt the same cold dread. High above, in orbit, more predator ships were arriving, dozens of them. Their lights glimmered like stars of doom. Sergeant Lowe muttered, "They're not leaving this time." Mira didn't look away. "Then neither are we." The next hour was chaos. Every working turret was loaded, every drone armed, every civilian moved underground. The humans knew the odds, one base against an armada. But something had changed. The sight of the boy and his small, unstoppable pet had shaken fear out of them. Soldiers who had given up were suddenly smiling, whispering about the beast from Earth. In the command tent, Mira studied the holographic map. "They'll land here, here, and here," she said, pointing to the ridges surrounding the base. "They'll try to crush us from 3 sides. Eli sat beside Blitz, listening quietly. "Can Blitz go out first?" Lowe snorted. "Kid, that's suicide." Eli shook his head. "Not for him." The soldiers exchanged looks. Mira sighed. "If he's going, I'm not stopping him." But we back him up. Minutes later, the first Predator dropships broke through the clouds. The ground shook as their heavy frames landed, dust blowing across the valley. The alien commander, a new one, taller, scarred, and furious, stepped forward with a blade the size of a human door. His voice boomed through the translator drones. "Surrender the creature." The child, too. "You are surrounded." No one answered. The aliens advanced in formation, a wall of metal and light. But then a small shape walked out from the smoke. A honey badger, limping slightly, fur glowing faintly under the firelight. He stood alone. The alien commander raised a hand. "End it." Blitz moved first. The ground cracked as he charged. Plasma beams lit up the valley, but he weaved through them too fast to hit. He leapt onto a predator's chest, tearing through armor, then disappeared into the next group. Soldiers shouted, explosions echoed, and smoke swallowed the battlefield. From the bunker, Eli watched through the monitor feed, his hands shaking. Blitz moved like living lightning, a storm of claws and rage. Every predator he struck fell and didn't rise again. Then something unexpected happened. The soldiers began to laugh. At first it was one, then a few more. They weren't laughing at the aliens, they were laughing with the same wild joy Eli had felt before. The sound spread, echoing across comms, through the battle, through every channel the predators were listening to. The commander froze. "They mock us again!" But this time it wasn't mockery. It was power. Mira's voice came through the comms. "They think we're broken. Show them what humanity looks like when it laughs at death. Every gun fired at once." Artillery lit up the ridges. The predators stumbled as human forces surged forward. The laugh became their rhythm. A strange, fearless sound that didn't belong on any battlefield. Up on the ridge, Blitz ripped through another alien, climbed atop its body and roared, not loud, but deep enough to carry through the air. For a second, everything paused. Even the predators hesitated. Eli leaned closer to the screen, whispering, "Get him, buddy!" The alien commander leapt down from his ship, blade glowing red. He landed in front of Blitz, shaking the ground. "You're just an animal," he said. "And animals die." Blitz bared his teeth, blood on his fur, and charged again. Their clash shook the valley. Metal screamed, sparks flew. The alien swung his blade, slicing through rock. Blitz darted under, slamming into his armor. They crashed through a bunker wall, dust exploding around them. The commander's blade pinned Blitz for a moment, forcing him down. Eli screamed through the comms. "Blitz!" The honey badger went still. Then his claws gripped the blade, and slowly, impossibly, he began to push it away. The alien's eyes widened. "How?" Blitz roared, broke free, and drove his claws into the commander's chest. The alien fell, armor shattering. The battle ended in silence, smoke drifting across the field. Blitz stumbled back toward Eli, exhausted but alive. When the boy ran out to meet him, even the soldiers stopped fighting just to watch. He dropped to his knees, wrapping his arms around the creature. Blitz rested his head against him, too tired to move. Mira smiled faintly, voice quiet but firm. "Someone better tell the galaxy. If you threaten a human child, be ready for the monster that follows." The battle for Talren was over. The sun rose weakly over blackened soil and smoking craters. Burnt alien ships lay broken across the valley, their once shining armor dull and cracked. The air smelled of victory and ash. Eli sat on a pile of rubble beside Blitz, who was curled up and sleeping soundly for the first time in days. The little honey badger's fur was still scorched in patches, one ear torn, but his breathing was steady. Soldiers moved quietly around them, carrying stretchers, salvaging what they could from the wrecks. No one spoke loudly. It wasn't out of sadness. It was reverence. Captain Mira approached with a tired smile. "You two did more than any army I've ever seen." Eli looked down at Blitz. "He just wanted to protect me." "Yeah," she said softly. "And somehow he ended up protecting all of us." Up in orbit, the last surviving Predator ship hovered silently. Inside, alien officers stared at the feeds of the battlefield below, at their commander's fallen body, at the wreckage of their war machines, and at one small creature that had undone them all. The ship's new leader turned off the display. "We leave this world," he said coldly. "Market forbidden. No more hunts on human colonies." "But, sir," one of them protested, "we can regroup." The commander's gaze silenced him. "You saw what they unleashed." That was not an animal. That was Earth's warning. The ship vanished into the stars, carrying with it the story that would spread faster than light. Within weeks, whispers traveled across trade routes and communication channels. In alien taverns and military stations, soldiers spoke of the laughing child of Earth and his impossible guardian. Some laughed at the tale. Some didn't sleep after hearing it. The words changed every time it was told, but the message stayed the same: do not harm the children of Earth. Back on Talren, the humans rebuilt slowly. New walls went up stronger than before. Drones patrolled the skies, and a monument was raised in the center of the base, a statue of a small child laughing, with a fierce honey badger at his feet. Visitors from other colonies came to see them, to meet the boy whose laughter had broken an alien army. Eli never boasted about it. He just smiled shyly and scratched Blitz behind the ear, pretending none of it was a big deal. Sometimes, when night fell and the stars came out, he would sit by the campfire, watching the distant streaks of light in the sky. He'd whisper, "They'll come back one day, Blitz. They always do." The honey badger would open one eye, huff softly, and go back to sleep, because to him, it didn't matter. Whatever came next, he would be ready. Captain Mira often watched them from a distance. She'd shake her head and mutter, "That's Earth for you," laughs in the face of gods. And far away, in places where human names were spoken like curses, predators remembered Talren, the battle where laughter turned to terror. And a honey badger became the galaxy's most feared symbol. Every alien commander who planned an invasion after that paused when they heard the ancient human warning. If you hear laughter on the battlefield, it's already too late. Blitz lifted his head once more, gazing at the horizon, where dawn broke across the scarred land. The boy beside him smiled, sunlight catching his hair. They had survived. The war had changed. And somewhere in the vast dark of space, the universe began to respect the one species it had once pitied. The legend of the laughing child and the honey badger of Earth had begun, and it would never die.